Okay, well, it's the start of a new day. I am very excited for this one. I shouldn't be. I should be deeply ashamed and embarrassed and everything else, but I'm actually really looking forward to pulling this motor apart. There's a couple of mistakes that I made, both of them completely boneheaded. One of them is more of an annoyance, and the other one was a serious, ridiculous error that very few people would make, but I wasn't paying attention. You know, it turned a freshly rebuilt motor into something that possibly needs to get bored out. But regardless, I've got some scoring in the cylinder walls in some of them, and it's definitely causing some blow-by. So it's time to strip this thing right down. I need to make sure all the bearings are still good. I think they probably will be, but we'll see. And anyways, just gonna have to figure out, am I gonna have to possibly I'm gonna have to bore this thing out 20 over, which would really suck because that means new pistons and new rings, and I just bought brand new Cummins rings, which are expensive. So you know, I'm gonna get into her, we'll pull her apart, we'll you know, just take it step by step. So the first thing I will say is that typically you're not really seeing a full complete 12 valve on an engine stand. To remove these from the truck, normally you would have to pull the oil pan right there because that hangs very closely over this cross member. And then the other thing you often need to do is remove number 5 and 6 rocker covers and possibly rocker pedestals just to get a little bit of room to get it up under the cowl. This thing is really shoehorned in there. This is a gigantic, really tall and long motor. Normally when I've had this out, I mean, I would have the turbos off and the exhaust manifold and all the front stuff, a fan and alternator and, you know, everything like that. The last time I pulled it out, just to make it really simple, I actually pulled the head first and then just lifted it straight up and out rather than having to wrestle that oil pan out of there. So, you know, this is something that you're not really going to see that much unless you're doing a, you know, getting this as like a parts motor or something, or you're doing a full frame off like me. But regardless, I just really wanted to show the whole process. All the sensitive parts will be put in bags, and I'll probably, you know, if the block, it might be sitting around for a little while, so I'll probably rub some oil in the cylinders and all over the cam, spray some oil or WD-40 or something just to make sure that you don't get any rusting on anything. But anyways, that's about all I got to say, so let's get at her. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is remove this belt. It actually looks a little bit broken. This is actually a new tensioner that I put on here. I'm surprised that that seems a little bit snapped though. I'm just going to use a 2-foot breaker bar here. Keep the oil off of this, keep it over here. The amount of time that it takes to put things in a bag and label it is like nothing compared to how much time it takes searching around through boxes of crap and trying to find whatever. So, you know, these are worth their weight in gold. Don't even consider doing something like this without keeping everything organized. Okay, next I will pull off the alternator. Whenever possible, I'll just leave the hardware with the actual unit itself, and in this case I can definitely do that with a couple of these. Should pop off of there. I put this tappet cover on for, let's see, I think I've had this off a couple of times. This is the industrial injection tappet cover. I've never had a problem with it leaking. As you can see, it's got an integrated breather on it. But the last time I did it, I put the wrong RTV on there like a complete bonehead, and the thing has leaked like a sieve. All right, many of you may have noticed this Edelbrock breather cap. I just put this on here to deal with the blow-by because I do still run this thing pretty hard, and you know, that has caused quite a bit of leaking, especially with that wrong RTV that I put on there. So I put this on. This is not something that I would really recommend, especially in the summertime if you're driving on a lot of gravel roads, as it's just kind of open through here. I don't think it has any kind of filter or anything on it. It might, but regardless, this is definitely a short-term thing. I'll be putting the original cap back on when this is done. But now I'll go ahead and probably pull this whole assembly off. So just the one bolt in there and no big deal. Next, I'm going to remove this fan. It's kind of annoying. There's 4 bolts. 3 of them are very accessible, but one of them is just tucked down in here, and you kind of have to loosen it as you lift the thing off because there isn't enough clearance to actually remove it, but no big deal. So as some people had commented on a video that there's an 11-blade plastic fan from Gino's Garage, which apparently is a better alternative. So I am going to be doing that. Some people also recommended putting a new clutch fan in this, or in the actual fan itself. So I'm not sure if the new 11-blade ones comes with its own clutch or whatever, but this will be a bit of a project, getting that all sorted out. Okay. Next, I'll pull off the harmonic balancer. Next is the tach sensor. Now I'll pull the timing cover off. This is a big part of what makes the 12-valve Cummins so awesome, and I guess Cummins in general, is just that it's all gear driven. There's no timing chain to screw around with. Everything is super beefy, as you can tell. Just to give you a quick little run through of what we're looking at here, this is the oil pump, this is the crankshaft, camshaft, injection pump, and vacuum pump over here. Very beefy. It's really quite a cool system. There are some marks on here where you can line it up to get to top dead center. I'll show you that in a second. And then one of the next things I need to do is to pin the pump so that I can remove it and keep it in time. Next, I'm going to pull the water pump. Alright, now I think it's time to start picking away at this turbo stuff on the side. Get this off, get the manifold off, and then I'll start picking the head apart. I'm going to have to remove this turbo oil feed line so I can get down at this nut here. Next, I got to remove this turbo oil return line. So with this power-driven diesel kit, there was a few different options to get it to return back to the oil pan. I opted to take the pan off, weld on the bung, and then just sort of screw it right into that. It was a lot of extra work, but I think definitely worth it. Next, I will remove this lower turbo. Next will be the oil feed line for the top turbo. For the sake of simplicity, I'm actually just going to leave this turbo on the actual manifold itself. I'm just going to go through, disconnect all of these, and I'll just take it off as one piece. Alright, so I'm just going to take a bit of a step back from removing the turbo. I've just got a little bit too much clutter around here I need to deal with. These are the lines that go back to the heater core. I've got the 2 turbo oil feed lines, and then I've also got the lines going back to this heat exchanger for the transmission. So I'm just going to clear all this stuff out of here first so it's a little easier to get in underneath the manifold.